here's a question. When it comes to Venezuela, we obviously know that there's large oil reserves, more so than Saudi Arabia. We know that America is very interested in that. We know that, it's America's opportunity to take down another socialist, communist, whatever they call it, country, and, point the finger and say, look, this is how socialism fails. That's why we got to keep bombing it instead of just letting it die on itself. That doesn't make any sense, but that's their conclusion. But what about Israel? Is there an Israeli connection to Venezuela? Because we know that the Zionist clan is deeply influential when it comes to foreign affairs. I mean, we all seen the video of Netanyahu in the early 2000s listing off countries that we need to conquer and invade post 9/11. As disturbing that is, a foreign country is dictating our foreign policy, just so eerie. We ended up doing it. We did it anyway. So there's got to be some sort of connection, you would think, because why would Netanyahu be commenting about Venezuela? Why would Netanyahu care about, U.S. being involved with Venezuela and who the representative should be? Well, James Lee did some digging around, and James Lee has been doing incredible work when it comes to this story. And he got into some interesting information about who's behind the business incentive to collect the Venezuelan oil. And you may or may not be surprised. Take a look.
China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them?
Well, in terms of China and Russia, Russia, when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it.
Wait, what? We're going to sell the oil to Russia and China? The regime change operation is fast underway in Venezuela. You can choose to support it. You can choose to oppose it. That is up to you. But what I'm here to do is tell you the facts that nobody else wants you to know. Because let's face it, they want this to be a straightforward, simple narrative, which is that one, we're doing this because we're liberating the Venezuelan people from an evil dictator, and two, we should have their oil, not China or Russia. Take a listen to Marco Rubio here.
If the purpose of the operation was to capture Maduro and bring him to justice, why does the United States need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry?
Well, we don't need to. First, let me go back up. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. You have to understand, why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States.
Have specific oil companies?
We also want to see that oil and the proceeds from it. Hold on. We want to see the oil proceeds of that country benefit the people of Venezuela. Why have 8 million people left Venezuela? 8 million, the single largest mass migration probably in modern history, left Venezuela since 2014 because all the wealth of that country was stolen to the benefit of Maduro and his cronies in the regime, but not to the benefit of people of Venezuela. You know how destabilizing 8 million migrants is? The number one fear that Brazil has, that Colombia has, that all these countries in the region have about what's happening in Venezuela and our involvement is they're afraid of another mass migration event. That's what they fear. This is deeply destabilizing stuff. It's not going to continue to happen. They are not going to come from outside of our hemisphere, destabilize our region in our own backyard, and us have to pay the price for it. Not under President Trump.
Okay, Marco Rubio says we're going to keep Russia and China from getting this oil because it is in our backyard, it is in our best interests, and we should be the ones to control it. Except most of what he's saying there, if not all of it, is a complete lie because the reality is actually much more complicated and also much more sinister, which I'll show you. But before I get into all of that, I need to address something, which is this idea that Venezuelans are so happy about this, so shut up. That, my friend, is completely manufactured regime change propaganda. Straight up. World's greatest independent journalist Nick Shirley is claiming right now that World Cup-style celebrations are erupting all across Venezuela at the moment. Congratulations to all the people of Venezuela. Que Dios te bendiga. Except, oh no, wait a minute. That video is from Miami, Florida. Other accounts like Wall Street.
Wait a minute. You're telling me the great Nick Shirley, the rising star, he lied to you again? Oh, he deceived people for political purpose? Oh my God. Who would have thunk it? And by the way, Nick Shirley, who is apparently some, 20-something-year-old who just apparently got a start on YouTube and is getting praised by, the likes of Elon Musk and all these hacks and on the right wing of things, hightailed to Greenland recently. And I said, how does an independent journalist who literally came out of nowhere, apparently he's been on YouTube for a while, I haven't seen it, how does an independent journalist get the money to fly to Minnesota, to California, and then all the way up to Greenland, just in an instant. Like, does he have a private jet? Is some billionaire coaching him around and giving him travel tips? Like, what's happening? How independent is Nick Shirley? And of course, he's sharing propaganda. Like they've always done. They've always do this. We've shown this one before, Wall Street Apes. That was an AI video. Like, how long? How long are people just going to take this and just go along with this garbage? Like, the difference between the early 2000s and today is there was no social media back in the early 2000s. And the internet was pretty small. A lot more people believed, the Iraq invasion because there was no way to counteract that unless you were able to get on mainstream television and actually present a anti-interventionist voice, which is a very slim portion of television. Now we have social media. Now you can see firsthand exactly what's happening there.
Apes are posting that Venezuelans are, quote, crying on their knees, thanking Trump and America for freeing them from Nicolas Maduro. Except the video is just 100% entirely AI slop. This is happening across a bunch of massive accounts all across social media. So my question is, if Venezuelans were actually happy about their leader getting abducted, we probably wouldn't need to rely on AI slop videos to do propaganda, right? And the point really isn't even about if there are celebrations or not, because on any issue, you're going to find people who support it and you're going to find people who oppose it. I mean, look at all these happy Iraqis from 2003.
There it goes.
I'm just going to fast forward a bit. Because we already know about
Donald Trump.
The world would be better off with Saddam Hussein
100%.
and Gaddafi in power.
100%. As far as Assad is concerned.
What about the human rights abuses?
Let's talk. Well, you don't think they're happening now? They're worse now than they ever were. People are getting their heads chopped off. They're being drowned. Right now, they're far worse than they were ever under Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi. And it all blew up around Hillary Clinton and around Barack Obama. It all blew up. Now, one thing about Assad, not a good guy. I understand that. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's falling to pieces. We have 19 trillion in debt. We have infrastructure that's a disaster. Our roadways, our airports, our schools, everything. We have to start thinking about ourselves. We're pouring trillions of dollars into the Middle East, and we have nothing for it. We have nothing.
So what changed his...
Oh, whoa. Did I just hear that? Did I hear that right? That sounds like mega. That's investing in our country? That almost sounds like socialism. Oh my God, we gotta stop intervening in other countries and rebuild our nation? Oh my God, where was that? To me, it sounds like a blur now. Because we've just been in endless warfare. We're continuing to beat the war drums, but that was Donald Trump. It's almost like a blur. It's almost like, holy crap, where was this? He said that. And he even said the Iraqis are better off with Saddam Hussein. We were better off with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Look how well that turned out. You took one of the successful states in Africa to its knees, killed Muammar Gaddafi, and turned it into the worst state in Africa. And all because the United States hegemony wants control. They want to control. Libya want to convert to their own currency, which was bad for the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is what keeps Africa in their hands. So obviously, they had to take the guy out. You're run by sinister mafia. You're run by a sinister mafia that never gave a shit about you whatsoever. Just keep that in mind. So anytime anyone says about freedom, democracy, humanitarian rights, oh, look at all the crying people they're celebrating. That is complete crap. Either you're a useful, ignorant idiot, or you're a paid hack promoting this garbage because some asshole's paying you to push for war. And as I said in my TikTok rant, which you should go check that out, why aren't you fighting these wars then? If people are cheerleading this and saying they care so much about Venezuela, then get your ass on the boat and go fight. Whereas majority of people don't want more dollars leaving the country. Have you seen Philadelphia? Have you seen New York? Have you seen Chicago? Have you seen Los Angeles? Have you seen all the cities and towns flooding with homelessness, with poverty? Have you seen all the factories that are closing up? Have you seen all the job losses that have occurred? Anyway, there's more of the story to this, though. And just a fast track, let's see this.
Who is he giving that oil money to? Check this out. Venezuela raid enriches MAGA billionaire. The ouster of Maduro is a financial windfall for a prominent Trump-supporting billionaire investor, Paul Singer. What's his involvement with Venezuelan oil? Okay, it says here, in November 2025, Singer acquired Citgo, the US-based subsidiary of Venezuela's state-run oil company. Singer, through his private investment from Elliott Investment Management, bought Citgo for $5.9 billion. The sale of Amber Energy, a subsidiary of Elliott Investment Management, was forced by creditors of Venezuela after the country defaulted on its bond payments. In remarks to Fox News on Saturday, Trump made clear that one of the motivations for Saturday's attack was to increase the production and export of Venezuelan oil. Venezuela has the largest proven reserves of crude oil in the world. Trump said that moving forward, the U.S. would be, quote, very strongly involved with the Venezuelan oil industry. Industry observers anticipate a rapid rerouting of Venezuelan oil exports, reestablishing the U.S. as the major buyer of the country's volumes. Jaime Brito, an oil analyst at OPIS, said access to Venezuelan oil exports will, quote, be a game changer for U.S. Gulf Coast refiners in terms of profitability. Paul Singer, thanks to a well-timed transaction, will be one of the largest beneficiaries. And the question that I have, of course, is who the hell is Paul Singer? Well, it looks like Paul Singer is a prominent American financier and philanthropist known for his strong support of Israel and Zionist causes. Singer and the Paul E. Singer Family Foundation of the
Now you get the rest of the story. Paul Singer is not just a greedy, money-hungry, private equity asshole that just wants to take resources from another country. He's deeply tied to Israel and Zionism. So now it makes sense why Netanyahu and Israel is concerned about who controls Venezuela. Now it makes sense. Now I understand where all this is coming from. Because America, a lot of Americans did not want this to happen. In fact, a lot of Americans that voted for Trump wanted Trump to not follow through on this. They mandated that Trump not do regime change wars in Latin America. That was what made, MAGA and Maha very popular in those circles. They did not want this to happen. But the owners of Trump, the people that are bribing and blackmailing him, like Miriam Adelson, they'd be on board with this. They'd be on board with this. Because, hey, we can't let Venezuela determine their fate. We can't let Venezuelans and brown people in Latin America control a company of theirs. We have to get a Zionist involved in this. We got to find a way for a Zionist to take over and control and dominate a foreign country's industry. And they're not controlling the world. I can't say that because, that'd be anti-Semitic. But you're kind of leading into that direction. It's kind of wrecking the argument that Paul Singer has money grubbing to take over Venezuelan oil.
the Philos Project, a pro-Israel Christian organization. In 2016, Singer partnered with the Museum of the Bible to fund Passages Israel, a program to take college students to Israel. He is a, quote, longtime supporter of hawkish pro-Israel causes. So ultimately, all this oil money that we're about to get our hands on isn't going to make the lives of the average American better. It's not going to go into their hands. It's going to go to people who are loyal to the state of Israel and their chosen agenda. Don't believe me? Well, evidently this Paul Singer guy has already moved and outsourced a bunch of U.S. tech jobs to Israel. Thank you so much for Whitney Webb's wonderful reporting there. And speaking of oil and how it relates to our national interests, so much of the conversation has been focused on how this will be good for America, good for Americans, bad for China, bad for Russia, but I'm not even sure if this is true. For example, Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire writes, quote, "This is a war for oil. First off, the war lasted like 90 minutes. Well, 90 minutes so far. As we see in all these things, mission accomplished does not necessarily mean mission accomplished, okay? And he says, second, going to war to secure vital resources for your own people is totally legitimate. Why should we allow some third world communist shithole to control trillions of dollars worth of oil? Well, okay then, Matt, we should probably keep China and Russia.
Imagine if that was a Russian diplomat. Imagine if that was someone on RT saying that about America. Hey, why are we allowing American companies to be dictated by this crummy government? Hey, maybe Russia should go into America and hijack the resources that are mismanaged by American politicians. Do you think people would just allow that? Do you think Americans will sit back and go, yeah, that sounds like a great idea? Security. It's going to bring freedom. And maybe in some cases it would bring freedom. But I still wouldn't want it. I don't want any foreign country to get involved with other countries. Just like I don't want America to get involved in other countries. What happened to sovereignty? What happened to independence? What happened to the people of said country should be the ones determining the outcome of that country? Well, when you realize that Paul Singer is behind stuff like this, and the Zionist cult, and Trump, and the tech billionaires, and the World Economic Forum is also commenting about Venezuela, it makes it perfectly clear. This is all part of globalism. This is all part of the Great Reset. You don't have countries. You don't have sovereignty. You don't have nations. You don't have separate, societies and cultures. You're just a bunch of animals. You're a bunch of useless animals roaming the land, and we're going to take the resources away from you because we know how to control it better than you. That's what all this is coming to. And anyone that still thinks this is about freedom or humanitarianism or any of that crap is absolutely regarded. I mean, we lived through 20 years of this kind of garbage. Remember how we were supposed to liberate Afghanistan? Remember how we were supposed to liberate all the Iraqis after we killed 1 million of them? We're supposed to save those people. We're supposed to take the oil, and that was going to, pay off the war. And now you're trillions of dollars in debt, where your kids can't buy houses, everything is becoming more expensive, and inflation is running amok. So, yay for national security. Yay! Gonna make things so wonderful. It's gonna give everybody the middle finger, and someone like Paul Singer is gonna laugh himself to the bank, killing more people.
From getting access to this oil, right? To make sure that we starve them of these precious national or natural resources, right? No, evidently wrong.
China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them?
Well, in terms of China and Russia, Russia, when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it to them. In other words, we'll be selling oil, probably in much larger doses because they couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad. So we'll be selling large amounts of oil to other countries.
So wait a second.
It sounds like the Crips and Bloods right there. Well, we're in the oil game, and if those guys want to get on our turf, then we got to do something about it. Clearly, it's the mafias fighting together. And the thing about Russia and China, because so many people are talking about, well, Russia and China are interested in Venezuelan oil. We can't give it to them. Russia and China are not bombing Venezuela. Russia and China are over there diplomatically having agreements on the business and creating infrastructure. When was the last war China was in? What was the last country China bombed? What was the last country that Russia bombed before Ukraine? What was the last country that got intervened and got taken over by those two? I can tell you all the times that U.S. has intervened in other countries and it turned to shitholes and it turned to absolute catastrophes. And that's because the United States, that's all we have left. That's all you have left. Because you shipped the jobs away. You screwed over the people. You poured the country with migrants. You put ICE against your own people. You're turning yourselves into a dystopian despotism nightmare. So what else are you going to do? What else do you have left? You're trillions of dollars in debt The country's going broke. People are dying in the streets. They don't have health care. They don't have proper education. They don't have infrastructure. So what else are you going to do? You're going to start bombing other countries, destroying them, turning them into shit so that your shit looks better. Meanwhile, megalomaniacs like Paul goddamn Singer and others who have no real representation in America, no respect, no value, no tolerance for America, can laugh himself to the bank. He can just take the money and run. He just whispers in Donald Trump's ear, yeah, you're going to attack Venezuela. We're going to take the oil. I'm going to make a quick buck off of everybody. Screw the world. And he can go, build up in Israel. Build up his mansion. Like some sort of sinister schmuck that he is. And same with a lot of these people. Same with a lot of these billionaire oligarchs. They have no provisions in America. That's why they're able to do this shit. That's why they have no morals. They have no connection with the people. They just view you as garbage. You're cattle. You're subhuman. You're sub-animal.
Second, we're going to do a regime change in Venezuela to make sure we keep the bad guys out, to make sure China and Russia don't get their oil because, right, they are the bad guys and we are the good guys. But we're still going to sell the oil to the bad guys? What the hell is going on here? And that's honestly the ugly truth that nobody wants to tell you, that none of this will benefit anybody anywhere other than the elites and the people who control the game. Okay, the Venezuelan people are going to suffer because regime change is deadly for regular people on the ground. That's just how things like this go. Just ask Iraq or Syria or Afghanistan or Vietnam or Cambodia or Chile or whoever else. I can go on and on. And the American people, we're not going to see any of this money. It's going to go to, like we talked about, the Zionist billionaires and the oil companies. And in fact, we probably have to spend more money to pay for this fiasco because all of the tax money that we're going to spend on this is not going to be used for domestic infrastructure projects. It's not going to be used for healthcare or education. It's going to be used to fund military operations and wars around the world. Okay?
So there you go. Just another business affair. Bloodshed warfare so that these bloodthirsty, mostly Zionists, billionaires, can profit off the death and disparity of the rest of the world, just like we've always done. And for all these chud idiots on the internet, all these ignorant assholes that could easily remind themselves, they can easily go on the internet and recall all the failures that American interventionism has done to all these other countries. Remind themselves that people voted for Trump to get away from this. Will cheer this on ignorantly, which goes to show either you are completely idiotically stupid, or you're a paid hack. And I know that because we have seen the exposure of the Sodagate, where people were getting, I think it was $1,000 just to push soda as part of the SNAP program. That shows how cheap they are. You don't even have any dignity to ask for a higher wage for that. And we know that Marjorie Taylor Greene also pointed out that these are patriots. P-A-Y-triots. Meaning that they're getting paid to glamorize MAGA, make themselves look like American heroes and saviors, and the rest of the people are a bunch of traitors, when really they are the traitors. They are the traitors. And all I'm gonna say, because I'm just so fed up, much like people watching this, I'm fed up. As a Canadian, even witnessing this, and Canada's also getting sucked in this propaganda. So I just have one question for those people. The only thing I could say, why aren't you enlisting then? You care so much about war. You care so much about, how other countries are functioning and how we need to, mess around with them. How we need to change things because they're not doing democracy right. Then why aren't you enlisting? Line up, join the military, join the Navy. They're looking for recruitments right away. Go join that up. Go join the IDF and bon voyage. Get the hell out of this country. What are you doing here? What are you doing here then? If you're an American and you're complaining about all the stuff in Venezuela and saying that we have to do everything to free those people, then go. Go to Venezuela. Go free those people. Go to Israel and go help fight their war. Go help fight your precious land. And I know they won't do it because they're cowards. They wouldn't last a day in the foxhole. They wouldn't last a day in the war field, in battle. That shows how cowardly these people are. Shows how cowardly and pathetic those people are. But obviously someone like me, who for the longest time, and it's because of a principle, a lot of people don't have principles, that's a big problem, can see right through this. Because I'm 30 years old, and for the last 20 years, and more so, we've seen all this. We've seen all this before. And it's just a constant repeat. And now you're finding out that it's just another banker war. It's another opportunity for a billionaire to cause havoc on another country, destroy it to bits, causing more devastation while they lap themselves to the bank with blood on their hands. It's nothing to do with freeing people. It's nothing to do with saving anybody. And if you're falling into that trap again, you're either bot shill or you're completely ignorantly stupid. And I can't believe people are falling into this trap again.